Hello, farmers, and welcome to another episode of The Harvest Season. My name is Al.
And my name is Codey.
And we're here today to talk about farming games.
Woo!
Hello, Codey, again.
Hello.
Was this 3 episodes in a row? I think if we get a 4th one, that makes you that you take over. Is that how it works?
I mean, I think people would say that I've already taken over before, but yeah, no, I'm just vibing. We just keep talking about things.
You don't
I'm
want
really
all the extra
interested
work
in.
that I have to deal with. Let's be honest.
Yeah, you do most. I pretty much just the day before or the day of, I just look at what the show notes, look at all the news that you've compiled, and then.
Well, hopefully you play the games
thoughts?
when we're talking about games. You hopefully play them.
Yes, I do that.
Which is honestly the biggest part of this work. A little behind the scenes, listeners, is that every summer I go away for a month and I don't want the podcast to stop, so we record a bunch beforehand. But that does mean that we end up recording 6 or 7 episodes over a month's time.
Yeah.
So that is this month that we're doing. So this is why we have lots of fun. So yeah, it does mean that we can't really cover an actual game every episode in those ones because you can't play 6 games in a month and actually cover them properly on the podcast. So
Sure can't.
there will be some of them, but not all of them. Not that we've done that ever before. I feel like we've not done 3 episodes in a row covering games because it's a lot of work. But anyway.
Yeah, and there's always a lot of news or other topics to talk about. So
Yeah.
it's all good.
Speaking of news, this episode is going to be a bumper news episode. We just had the Wholesome Direct 2020. It was over an hour long. And we therefore have a lot of news. There's other news as well. It's not all from the Wholesome Direct, but that will be this episode. But first of all, Codey, what have you been playing?
I have been playing Pokemon Go, and Pikmin Bloom, and that
Gotta get those flowers.
Pretty much it. Other than that, I've been playing, quote unquote, playing Greenhouse Simulator 480 Plants in Real Life Edition. I
was like, is this a game I don't know about? No, you're just making a joke.
I got my plants for my research already. So there's over 500 plants in a greenhouse right now that I have to go take care of.
500?
Yes, and they're all in 1-gallon pots, and I need to move them into 3-gallon pots. So, and within a week of having them, within 4 days of having them, one of the plant species, so about 80 plants, already started dying. And they had caterpillars on them already, and they had aphids on them already. Though I bumped up watering and they're doing a lot better. And then I've also been picking the caterpillars off and smishing the aphids when I see them and talk to the greenhouse manager. So it's a lot can happen really quickly. So that's been fun.
Yeah.
What have you been playing, Al?
I have not been playing very much. I've been doing some shiny hunting in Pokemon, and I've been playing a game that we'll be covering in a few. Well, actually, I think it's in the beginning of August. This episode, but I'm not going to say what that is because secrets. But I've been playing that game, and I've booted up the new Mario Strikers game, but I haven't played it yet. So hopefully I'll have some time soon to play that because I would like to do that.
Did you do Go Fest?
I did some of it. They always seem to. The problem is, right, I need to have a decent amount of preparation for trying to do any of these ones because obviously I have 2 kids and they are quite intensive children. I can't just go away for the day without having plan that and these sorts of things. And obviously it would require someone helping Rona. Rona can't look after both kids at the same time. And so, yeah, it just didn't work this year. I couldn't schedule anything. So I just had to play it out and about, kind of 5 minutes here, 5 minutes there. But of course, these games aren't really designed to play. Well, okay, the games are designed to play like that, but the events are for some reason are designed completely differently, and designed that if you can't spend 2 or 3 hours just intensively playing them, you won't get anywhere near as much out of it as you could. So yeah, I've never understood why the events are like so differently focused than the rest of the game. Like, you know, the Pikmin community days and stuff like that make perfect sense. It's like, hey, do 10,000 steps today. Mm-hmm. Like, okay, good. That's something that most people who have, legs that work can probably do at some point in the day. Mm-hmm. Whereas, they're much more intensive in Pokemon Go for some reason.
Yeah. Yeah, I only played one of the days for like 2 or 3 hours. I hung out with one of my friends and we went to a park and walked around a lot. I got a Shining Kyogre because there were a bunch of people doing raids, so I did one of those raids, and it was literally the only raid the only like raid we needed help with. We were trying to do all of the raids for Axew. But we didn't get a shiny on those. But I still have a bunch that I want to mirror trade with friends. So, yeah. Well, that's what we've been playing.
Yeah. Woo. Are we wooing too much yet? Probably. So we're gonna talk about the Wholesome Direct 2022. Mm-hmm. So we have both watched that. It came out a few days ago as you're listening to this. It was out on Saturday. And there's a bunch of news. There's news that's not from that, but there's a bunch of news from that as well. But before we go through the news, I thought it might be nice to kind of just, if we have any thoughts about the Direct as a whole. Obviously, there were some games in it that are not farming games, so we won't be talking about normally, but there might be something that you want to bring up. So I see you've got some stuff written down there, Codey.
So I think like first we should probably give, I don't know, there might be someone who's never heard of the Wholesome Direct before. So it's just like there's this thing on Twitter, and I'm sure there are on other things, called Wholesome Games, and they just kind of are like a news source for games that are wholesome. So games that are, easy to play, give you those feel goods, usually have like really light color palettes. Like these aren't going to be horror games, these aren't going to be first person shooters, things like that. And so the Wholesome Direct is it annual or is it twice a year?
There's like a mini one at some other point in the year. So it's annual-ish.
Okay. There's the Wholesome Direct, and then I know there's like the snack. Isn't that like the
that's the other thing. That's the other one, yeah.
So basically during this you get to see kind of what games are on the horizon that are really wholesome and really look really fun, and so yeah, that's what the Direct is. And this year they had a 15-minute speed painting happening right before stream, which was really fun to watch. And then they had the Direct, and in between the game announcements they were talking about this like fund that they have that you can buy merchandise for the Wholesome Direct or Wholesome Games, that all of the money will go towards this Galaxy Fund, I think it was called, that supports BIPOC and queer game developers. Yeah. So, yeah, I thought that was really cool. So then talking about the games themselves, I noticed there was a lot of like rhythm or music games that you have to, like, music is some part of the gameplay. And you are using music to help heal a landscape or creating a landscape that creates music. I don't know. It was really interesting. So a couple of the games like that were like Odada, Melatonin, and Melodicy. I also really liked the games like How to Say Goodbye. It's a game that helps you process grief. And I know Spiritfarer is also like that. So these are games that can help you with like grief or depression or anxiety, things like that. We do talk about one of those later on too. One that just had me laughing out loud was Skatebird. You are a bird and you skate.
Yeah.
You
Yeah,
just told me
and
how
the
Pro Skater
they've
Burb
also
Edition.
they've also announced a secret skater, which is the Among Us crewmate.
Yeah.
Apparently that's a thing that's happening now.
And then it started out, the first game that was shown was Terra Nil, which is one that I know we've talked about before. And one that I'm interested in playing. Basically, you have this like a landscape that's just absolutely annihilated. Presumably because of humans ruining things, but maybe not. Maybe it just
Nah,
is
come on.
It's a landscape. I don't know.
Come on.
And you are
come on. We know what it is.
And basically, like, you are helping to bring life back to that area. So, and I thought it was interesting. So another thing I wanted to mention, because two things came up that I had no idea what they were. So one of them was called itch.io. So that is like a website that's a lot like Steam. But you can also play games like on the web browser too. So I kind of like looked at it. But a lot of these games are on that, and I just I had never heard of this. So that might just be me living under a rock, but since I'd never heard of it, I was like, we should probably mention it. And then the other thing I hadn't heard of was Netflix gaming.
Yeah.
So this is Netflix's attempt to survive the end times that are happening to them. And it's something that's launched in November of last year. And basically it's just a gaming service. And a lot of the titles have to do with movies that are on Netflix. So things like there's a game called Stranger Things 3, the game, or Stranger Things 1984. There's a game based on The Queen's Gambit, which I can only imagine is literally just you play chess, but whatever. But this is Terra Nil is coming to Netflix gaming, and so is another game we're going to talk about later. So if you were like me and you'd literally not heard of this, I just thought I'd like mention it up front. It's something that you use on your mobile app. So basically, I guess like on Android, there's like a new games tab in the Netflix app, and then you click that, and then it directs you to the Google Play Store to download the games. And on iOS, it kind of has something similar, but it directs you to the Apple Store, the App Store. But you have to authenticate. You have to have a Netflix membership, obviously. So, but the games themselves are usually free to play. Yeah. What about you, Al? What did you think of the Direct?
Yeah, I mean, I think you've covered most of the things that I would discuss, other than obviously the actual games that we're going to discuss, because the farming games are close enough. I think, we're not going to mention Terra Nil later on, just because there wasn't actually anything new. But that is obviously a game we're following. It was a nice new trailer, but there was no new information. So,
did you have any other games that like are not necessarily farming games, so you might not mention them, but like games that you enjoyed or that you were excited about?
I mean, there's none that are coming to mind that you haven't already covered.
Okay.
So yeah,
I know too.
Like, I mean, realistically, I spent most of the time just watching for what the farming games were. So
I know too that we've mentioned before that are not farming games, but we've just like mentioned that we saw them and we liked them, are Lonesome Village and Lil Gator Game. Those had trailers, so
yeah,
those look cute. But
yeah, so we've got a few different sections of news because there's so much. I decided to bundle them together. So the first one is we got some release dates for some games. So firstly, Bear and Breakfast is releasing on the 28th of July on PC and Switch.
Woo! I will be getting it on Switch. I'm very excited. Also, their trailer was adorable.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. So I will probably be buying this at some point, but I don't know whether it will be straight away. Next, we have Beasties is coming out 1st of July, also on PC and Switch. And this is a game that continues to baffle me in its very existence.
Yeah, I didn't write anything for this game because I was just like, Yep.
It is what it is.
It is what it is.
So there we are. Don't think there's anything else to say.
Nope.
And we have one more island, which I'm sure I've mentioned before, is out now.
I thought this was funny. Like, this game is kind of funny because it looks very like Age of Empires, but you have a queen that you have to pay taxes to as well.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, you are managing a civilization, but you're not the top level of the civilization. So that's interesting. But also, like, the gameplay itself looks very chaotic. Like, there's so many aspects to it. And I'm sure, like, when you're playing Age of Empires, for example, when you start off, it's really, really simple. You've only got, like, a couple buildings. And then when it gets bigger, you know, like, you have multiple different types of buildings. I'm sure that the gameplay that they were showing was, like, later game stage stuff. So I'm sure it'll all make sense when you are playing it, because it'll, like, ease you into it.
Yes. Yes, you're not going to suddenly start with 100 different places.
With all these different people that are running around.
Exactly.
I don't know. I was just very like, oh. But it did look very fun. Looks very... Like, I feel like it would be one that would take my mind off of the world, because I'd have to pay attention to it, you know? Like...
Yeah.
So, looks good.
Next, we have a couple of dates for early access. So first of all, Dinkum is coming to early access on the 14th of July.
Mm-hmm. So this is adventure farming game that's set in, like, the Australian outback. Yes.
I think we've talked about it before, but not a huge amount.
Yeah, it just looks really cool. There were, like, kangaroos and alligators and other things like that. I didn't see any magpies, but I would love if there were magpies in the game. The person did, like, catch insects at one point. I was really excited. And then the multiplayer looked really cool. Like,
what?
Some of these games have... I mean, like, you can just see multiple people that are running around.
Yeah.
And they are very independent.
Yes.
And obviously, like, different people. And sometimes multiplayer looks really choppy, but this looked really... sleek. So
yeah, there's also got loads of cool vehicles. Like, there was a what's it called, one of those flying things.
Like a paraglider.
Yes, paraglider. And they had water skiing thing, jet ski. I'm good with words.
Yeah, but like at one point, you and all your friends are running around. You all open your paragliders and, like, glide around to get across this, like, canyony area.
Yep. And we also have an early access date for Coral Island. It's coming to early access on the 11th of October.
And my note on this is just, I'm so excited.
Are you ready, Codey?
I am very ready, especially at that time of the year. I will be so ready, because I'll be done with fieldwork and I'll be in the middle of data and analysis stuff, and I'll be wanting to just, like, veg and play something.
Nice.
And Scarlet and Violet won't be out yet, so I'll need this.
Good timing. Next, we have a number of games that are already out or nearly out, or not out yet, and have announced that they're coming to a new platform. So first of all, Spiritfarer is coming to mobile via Netflix Gaming, as we mentioned. So weird. Like, I find it funny because, like, with Netflix Gaming, I knew it was a thing, but, like, it's always been, like, specifically Netflix games. Like, this is the first one I've heard of, which is, like, here's an existing game that Netflix are bringing to mobile. It's really weird.
I mean, I'm here for a Spiritfarer TV show. If it's going to be, like, reverse, that would be cool. Yeah, I still haven't played this, and I still need to.
Next, Snacko announced that they will be coming to PS4 and PS5, as well as the existing PC and Switch.
Still no date, though.
No, but they have reaffirmed that it's this year.
Yeah.
So I think in fact, did it say any more than that? Let me double check. It said, it just said 2022. So, I feel like if they were, I'm not going to say they're not going to delay. What I am going to say is, I think if they were worried about it, I wouldn't be surprised if they hadn't said a specific time at this point, because they previously, like, I think originally they were wanting to come out last year, and then kind of in the 6 months running up to that, they said they kind of removed all mentions of a release time. And so the fact that 6 months into the year they're still saying this year, it looks encouraging.
Very excited.
Next we have Autonauts is coming to consoles. I'm not sure if they said what consoles. I did not double check that before I started recording.
Xbox, PlayStation, and Nintendo Switch.
Yes, all of them. All the ones that matter anyway. We also have Chicken Journey, which is not really a farming game, but you're a chicken, so...
You're a chicken, and chickens are farming creatures.
Is coming to Switch.
It looked really cute. That was also part of the Wholesome Direct. Some of the gameplay of that, and it was very cute.
And Lemon Cake is coming to PS4, PS5, Xbox One, and Series X, and Switch.
Woo!
Woo!
Which I'm excited about, since I can't play it, since it's whatchamacallit only.
Windows.
Yep. And I still don't have my computer fixed. So
sad times. But happy times that is coming to, well, let's be honest, Switch is what we care about.
Yeah. There's a lot. Yeah. My poor Switch has just been kind of like sitting over there crying, and then now all these games are coming out that I want to get on Switch.
So many. Interesting that every single one of these except Spiritfarer, which is already on Switch, are coming to Switch. And that's all of the new platforms. So we have two other new newses before we talk about the new games, and that's that there is, these ones just, they didn't bundle together at all. So the Princess Farmer is getting a free update with more episodes this summer.
And it'll be a free update, and there's like a shell matching game that looks a lot like Candy Crush.
Yes, I mean that's their core loop in the main game as well. It's just it's not shells normally. So yeah. And Moonstone Island have announced that they are being published by Raw Fury. So I mean that's a really small bit of news, but I've mentioned these things before.
Yep. This is one that I hadn't looked at before, so I just wrote that it kind of looks like Stardew Valley, but you're a witch. And that there's like cards that you can collect that can maybe be used as like spells. Like I saw one that said like regeneration plus something something, and I was like, oh, interesting. There's a lot of witch games coming out.
Yes, it's a bit of a thing just now, isn't it? So we also have obviously there were lots of other new trailers for games that we're not specifically covering them because there were a lot of them. But obviously we'll have links to them in the show. Well, links to the Direct and where you can find a list of all the games and stuff if you need that. But we also have a number of new games, 8 new games. I think only one of these was mentioned in the Wholesome Direct, but there have been quite a few new games recently, including one that was announced in the Xbox and Bethesda one. So, you know, that's how up to date we are. We are recording this like half an hour after that finished, and now it's including this one.
Oh, is it still going? I thought it was still going.
No, it was an hour and a half long, so it was finished just after we started recording.
Okay.
So first we have Garden Witch Life, which I think is just coming to Steam at this point. I mean, it's probably pretty clear what it is from the name of it, right?
Yeah. The little blurb on Steam says, after losing your job, you end up in a small town far away from home. As luck would have it, you get to stay in a vacant witch's house and start building your new life. Build your own garden, grow plants for your potions and spells, and build friendships with the townsfolk.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think it was cute. Like, I think have we not talked about this one before? Or maybe I saw one that was similar, but
I've not. Well,
have-
there's other ones that are similar to it, but I haven't seen this particular one before. I don't think.
But you have like, you can cast a spell that makes a little rain cloud follow you around, and like that's how you water your plants. I thought that was really cute. And so you use the magic to help you farm, and then you also like make spells in like your cauldron. So it shows in there like you cutting up a carrot and putting it in, and the spell book is open. So like I'm assuming it says what you need for the whatever potion. I don't know what you do with the potions.
I mean, do you have them?
But like, what can I sell them? I mean, maybe you sell them to the townsfolk. Maybe like one of the townsfolk is like, my hair, and then you like make a anti-balding potion or something.
I was going to say, what about the hair? There's so many things there that could be.
It's gone.
Like if someone just comes up to you and says, "My hair," it's like, well, do you have too much, too little, the wrong color, the wrong style? Like, where are we going with this? You need to give me more information.
Someone's like, I want purple hair. I did note though also that the creatures on the island are really unique. So like, you're like in a bakery, and the bakery is like a cactus lady. So she looks like a maractus, like a grown-up maractus. And then another one was like a little axolotl.
There's a big fluffy rabbit as well.
Oh yeah, you pet the big fluffy rabbit and magic comes out of it.
Just magic in general. Yep. I just noticed they have said that it's coming to consoles as well, but they've not said what.
Okay.
Next we have Cattails. Which I can't even remember whether this has any farming in it or not. Why did they put this one on?
It kind of does. So like
or is this the one where it's a farming game but you are a cat? Is that how it works?
Well, so like, did you ever read the Warriors books?
No idea what you're talking about, so I'm going to go with no.
Them? Okay, so these are these books that I read in like middle school, high school, where there's like these cat clans living in the forests. And so there's like these little colonies of cats, and they have little dens and everything, and they basically like fight against other cat clans. And you have like a cat that collects herbs, and it's like the medicine cat, and they're like the doctor basically. And then you can all go fight. So you can like go collect herbs or seeds or something, and then fight other creatures and stuff. So it's basically a game all about feral cats, like a feral cat like colony.
Okay.
And there was a point in the trailer where like the cat like scritched the ground to like hoe the ground, and then put seeds in, and then was like watering it too, or something. So it did happen that there was like.
There is farming. That's fine.
There is farming in the game.
I'm going to be honest, I probably will not ever play this one, but I can see why people would like it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, part of me would want to read it just for the Warriors nostalgia, because even though it nowhere in it does it say that there's like Warriors as part of it, but it just has the same vibes. Though, PSA, keep your cats inside.
One cool thing is that apparently it will have a New Game Plus mode where you can play as one of your own kittens. That's a cool way of doing a New Game Plus.
That is really cute.
Next, we have Garden Buddies, which are little blobby type things.
They're like little fruits and veggies. So you help out a small apple named Mutsy. And you help him build a community with other fruit and veggies. Like one of the other characters is definitely a bok choy.
A what now?
A bok choy.
Bok choy.
Yeah. It's used for a lot of Asian cooking.
Oh, never heard of that before. Interesting.
Today on Al Learns About Vegetables. But yeah, so there's definitely like little fruits and veggies. And this is a game that's really cool because it's a lot like that game that I mentioned earlier, How to Say Goodbye. It's like a game that teaches you how to overcome stress and anxiety. So the game teaches you meditation exercises. So like after a while of playing, sorry if it's loud, my dog is repositioning himself right now. Can you lay down? Can you lay down? After a while of playing, it might be like, let's take a break. And then it has you breathe in and out and like meditate basically.
Ah.
And there's also like grounding techniques. So if you get really stressed or anxious, it teaches you how to ground yourself, which is something that a lot of people use. So I thought that was really cute.
The game, it takes about 30 minutes to fully complete and can be played completely with one hand. Interesting.
And it is on itch.io. Itch.io.
Yes. And
so
it is
that's one of those
name
things.
your own price game. So there you go. You can get it for free if you want, but pay some money for it.
Support.
Next, we have Cornucopia, which I have written. Apparently, I wrote another game that doesn't know what it wants to be.
I wrote that. I'm sorry.
Oh, you wrote that. I was like, I don't. That's in my color. Why do you see? This is the problem. Either just write it all in your color, or don't. Right? If you're gonna make a mistake, that confuses me. Like, I don't even remember when I said that. Why would I say that? That doesn't really feel like something I would say.
For people that don't know, Al puts things in black. Well, you just type out the notes, and then when I get to it, I type out the notes, but I make anything that I write, I make it purple so that it's obvious what I wrote, and that was something I missed. But yeah, I was just like, this is another game that just doesn't know what it wants to be. So here's the blurb from Steam. A heartwarming indie farming RPG. Grow crops, plant fruit trees and berry bushes, make friends, get married, raise and breed animals. Okay, so at this point, like, I'm unquoting here for a second. At this point, you're like, okay, cool farming game, right? Back to the thing. Quote: pet assisted combat, card quests, fishing, racing, fun mini games, a custom soundtrack, and much more. Will you restore the cornucopia? So like, I don't know. When I saw the pet assisted combat in there, I was like, what? And then you're getting all these cards, and I was like, what is this? I don't know. There was a lot to it that I was just like, this is a lot. But I mean, it looks good. It looks like you definitely get your money's worth.
Yeah, it does look like there's a lot happening here.
And the oven, like when you're cooking, there's like a lot going on there too.
It's an interesting style of game. So it's like 2D art. But I don't know. I think it's in a 3D space. I'm not quite sure. It might be. I don't think we've actually seen any videos of people moving around other than side. Oh no, there's a bit there that's like going backwards.
The person moves, goes back.
So
like
it's almost Paper
space.
Mario style, where the person is actually 2D and they turn and you see them turn like their paper, sort of thing. Yeah, I feel like I'm wondering whether that's too much for me. Like, will that hurt my brain? This.
Yeah.
But I guess we'll see.
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, it looks really interesting. It looks like you just kind of, got land from an old member of your family again.
The standard.
Yep.
Next we have, dearie me, Farmageddon. Now, if you enjoyed, what was it called? The nuclear apocalypse one that we played.
Atomic Crops.
If you like Atomic Crops, I'm going to guess you'll like this one. Farmageddon is a tactics RPG about farming in the post-apocalyptic desert wastes of New San Francisco.
So you're supposed to farm your crops, fight off bugs, befriend the other survivors. And it's something that you can play right now on itch.io. Though here's another PSA. Spiders are actually good to have in your garden. So these are definitely obviously post-apocalyptic. Like they got something going on, spiders.
Yeah.
It is cool though that it's a turn-based RPG. It seems
interesting. I hadn't noticed it was turn-based. I mean, that makes me less likely to absolutely hate it.
Yeah, because it's like enemy's turn, your turn, and then it looks like you have like 4 NPCs that you can have, some of them do one thing and some do the other. So there's like a crop field, and so you can either be tending your crops or you can tackle the slugs and the spiders that come after you. I'm assuming the
Yeah.
spiders coming after you and the slugs are going after your crops. So
Possibly. But yeah, so it looks like you have to get them, but you can spend time growing your crops. So you like actively are saying like, I want to grow this a little bit. And yeah, it's about balancing those and destroying the bugs. So yeah, no, I hadn't noticed it was turn based. I'd be more likely to play this now.
Yep.
Interesting. Next we have Lightyear Frontier, which as a name is kind of pleasing, but also kind of breaks my mouth a little bit. Lightyear Frontier. It almost feels like someone tried to make a name that was rhyming, but they didn't understand what rhyming actually is. So you have to. I feel like I want to make it rhyme, so it's actually called Lightyear Frontier. Because it's like year and tier.
Yeah, don't rhyme. Yeah,
it's so close. It was like, have you ever seen have you ever seen Lemmy sketches? You ever seen a Lemmy sketch? He's a Scottish comedian.
No.
He does a lot of sketches. Anyway, he does one. There's
no.
Around Scotland. There's a few places that have like a 20-mile-an-hour speed limit, and they are like, it's the way they call it is they call it 20's plenty to kind of make people remember that. But he does a whole sketch about how that doesn't rhyme and it annoys him. Because he's like, it probably started off rhyming because they probably had it as like 20 is plenty, and he's like, that rhymes, but then they shortened it to 20's plenty, and that doesn't rhyme.
Yeah.
And it's a very funny sketch. I'd highly recommend watching it. He's very funny. Anyway, so Lightyear Frontier. This is coming to Xbox and PC, and it's going to be on Game Pass because everything seems to be on Game Pass nowadays. Coming next year. I mean, it's kind of a space farming game. I mean, it looks gorgeous, I think.
Yeah, you live in like a little mech suit. Like the graphics are beautiful. You live in a little mech suit and you build a farm, and you can like build a cottage. And it seems like it's on a foreign planet, so it's like you're almost like terraforming a planet. Because a lot of the vegetation that you're growing, like I didn't recognize what it was. So
yeah, no, it's very definitely meant to be. You've crash landed on another planet, I think.
Yeah. And there again, there's multiplayer, so it showed 4 people playing at the same time on the same farm area. I don't know. It was really cool too because like it looked like you could change out parts of your mech suit and like upgrade it and stuff, and like how you harvest things is you literally just vacuum it up with your mech suit. I don't know. It was really interesting. Yeah. The thing about the game name that got me was because the Buzz Lightyear movie's coming out.
Yeah, it's such bad timing, isn't it? It's like, is this a tie-in game? No, it's not.
Yeah. I was like, they're coming out with a Buzz Lightyear. Oh, no, they're not. So yeah, I mean, it looks really pretty.
There you are, Lightyear Frontier.
You keep saying it with the.
Yeah, I know. It was deliberate that time.
Okay.
Next, we have a game that Codey says isn't a farming game, but is literally a farming game, and that is A Last Song. In this game, you have to walk around this environment, and you find plants, and you sing to them, and it makes them grow. Farming.
You aren't collecting from the plants, though.
Does farming mean you have to take them? Can you not just be giving back? Like Terra Nil technically isn't a farming game then, but you're growing plants, you're just not picking them.
We have said that Terra Nil.
I didn't say that. I did not agree with that. That is wrong. So you don't have to be taking things to farm. You can be doing farming for the greater good.
My understanding of A Last Song is that you basically like land on a planet that has a storm on it, and your robot is like a music bot, and you adventure into the storm, and as you're in the storm you're taking damage, but then when you're in like safe zones like near your near your spaceship, then you heal yourself. But you need to go through the landscape and find these plants that need to be sung to, like you said. You sing to them, and then the storm around that plant vanishes. So then that's a safe zone. And you basically like unlock the map in that way. But like, I don't think you ever go back and collect anything.
Yeah.
I would say it's like a conservation rehabilitation game.
So I looked up the definition of farming, Cody. The definition of farming is the activity or business of growing crops and raising livestock. It does not say growing and then harvesting. So
Crops
there you go.
Definition: a cultivated plant that is grown as food.
So there are definitely crops that are grown that aren't food, though.
A crop is
Here we go.
We've just got
another definition of crop. A cultivated plant that is grown on a large scale.
For profit or subsistence.
Look, I feel like you are trying to prove that this isn't farming when it clearly is about growing plants, and isn't that the whole point of farming?
I'm so excited to cover this game on the podcast just so that we can really dive in and come up with is this farming or not?
I mean, the thing is, right, 90% of the games that we talk about, we don't actually cover. There are too many games to play. But
this is, because of this heated debate, this is going to be one that we play.
We'll see. We'll probably have forgotten all about it soon.
Okay. Listeners, watch the trailer for a last song and tell us what you think. Tweet at us.
I don't care what anyone thinks. It's farming.
Okay.
Finally, we have a game that I will accept is not farming, but made me think about Animal Crossing a lot. So,
yeah, it does give me an Animal Crossing feel for sure.
This is Wish Talk. I mean, well, I'll let Cody describe it because she just says she's freaked out by it.
I'm so freaked out by it. Okay, so it does give me Animal Crossing vibes. It's like if you were to come upon a villager in Animal Crossing, like one of the animals that is outside of their house, because it looks like the main talk that they show on the Steam store is like a little animal outside of her house, and you're talking to her. But so you can it looks like you have the options to either type, like to talk to her. So it's not a pre-recorded or like a predetermined conversation like in Animal Crossing. It's completely like you could probably say whatever you want. Or you can like just hit the record button, like say something, and then it does like text to speech, or sorry, speech to text, the opposite. And then it sends it to the person. But the thing that is creepy is that the animal has AI so that it ends up having like a legit conversation with you, and it learns about you. So they end up becoming like friends. I don't know. It gives me big Black Mirror vibes. Like I could see you playing this game, and it or like the movie Her, you know, like how once someone falls in love with an AI, like I could see that.
Are you saying you're going to fall in love with this rabbit?
Maybe. I mean, she's pretty cute. Yeah, so that you get these little dolls. So she's a doll, and you can get more dolls through the stork. Like you get like points or something, and then you can earn more dolls, and then you can talk to them and learn about them. So the main conversation that you have with this bunny is about whether you're a dog person or a cat person. And the bunny is like,
in that trailer, I don't think that's the entirety of the game.
No, it's just in that trailer, like the example. And like you probably could have said anything. I don't know. But anyway, she says she likes cats because they're independent.
Yeah, I will say this does strike to me like somebody came up with a really cool idea for an AI conversation type thing. Mm-hmm. And then someone went, well, yeah, but you'll never get anybody interested in it. And they went, I'll make it into a game. And that is how this was born. Like, I'm not really sure I would ever have anything to do with this, because it's like, it feels like you're doing work when you're trying to explain.
Like,
talk, you know.
Yeah, I don't want to have actual conversations.
Yeah.
I mean, I think the benefit that I see this is if maybe you have a child that is struggling to develop social cues or social, like how to socialize, how to have conversations, how to respond. So like and because I've had this in my life where someone will be talking to me and I just short circuit and I just like don't know what to say.
Yeah.
And so like this can kind of teach you to stay focused in a conversation and let it keep developing.
Yeah.
I thought that was kind of cool. That's a cool aspect of it. But I mean, the thing that I could see, I got sidetracked earlier. The thing that I could see happening is like, the little AI thing is like, how are you doing today? And you're like, man, I'm really worried about my dog. He's getting old. And then maybe like you don't come on for like a month. And then you come on and like the little AI thing is like, oh no, did something happen to your dog? And it's just like, this is creepy.
Yeah.
It's not a game at that point. It's too much like real life. I don't know.
But the bad bits of real life. Talking.
Talking to other intelligent beings. Having to be interesting. Like, what if they just tell you you're boring? Like, I can't even... I'm boring to real people and I'm boring to this AI bunny.
I think the only reason I would ever play this is to try and break it. Like, let's see if I can make it go wrong.
Try and give it like the test.
Yeah.
It's like a Turing test.
Well, the problem with the Turing test is you can't do the Turing test if you know that it's a person or a computer. That's the entire point. But anyway. There we go. That's a lot of games, a lot of information. You've probably not managed to keep it all in your brain. So if you need any information, we'll have links to all of these things in the show notes, including a link to the Wholesome Direct itself. And if you go to the Wholesome Games website, they have a list of all of the games they had, including all of the ones we've talked about that were actually in it, because obviously we talked about some things that were not in the Wholesome Direct. Just to confuse you. So there we are. Thank you, Codey, for joining me for this episode.
Yeah, thanks for having me. It was fun to watch the Direct and get excited about spending money on more games.
Where can people find you on the internet?
I am on Twitter at Codey Mathis, just my name, CODEYMATHIS.
You can find me on Twitter at the ScottBot. Scott has one T. You can find the podcast on Twitter at THSPod. You can also email us from our website, harvestseason.club, where you can find links to other things, including our Patreon, where we have bonus episodes every week that the episode is not on. And in the next episode, we'll actually be talking about hiking next time. The problem is that between us recording the main episode and us recording the greenhouse, Pokemon decided to release a trailer. I was expecting it a week later. So we decided to talk about that instead. So you'll get the hiking news next time. I promise. We've already recorded it. It's already done. It's ready to go.
It is happening.
And I think that's everything. Thank you all for listening. Thank you, Codey, again for joining me. And until next time, have a good harvest.
The Harvest Season is created by Rochelle Delaney and Al McKinley, with support from our pro farmer level patrons, Kevin and Stuart. Our art is done by Micah the Brave, and our music is done by Nick Burgess. Feel free to visit our website, harvestseason.club, for show notes and links to things we discussed in this episode. Thanks for listening.
Oh, let me figure out. Okay, you can start. I'm just going to figure out what my my Twitter handle is.
How do you not remember? It's your name. It's literally just your name, Codey.
I never know if there's like a period in it.
No, there's not. There's just letters. It's just Codey Mathis. How do I know this better than you?
I never look at it. Okay.
Neither do I.
Okay.